guys, my name is Molly, and in this video I wanted to talk about becoming a substitute teacher. So if you have any spark of interest of becoming a full-time teacher one day, then maybe becoming a substitute is something that you want to look into. Maybe you're just in a different career path and that you kind of want to try out something new. So yeah, there's a lot of reasons why people become a substitute teacher. So the reason I became a substitute was, oh, did I already say I'm a substitute? Did I say that? Oh, by the way, I'm a substitute teacher. I don't know if I added that in there. So the reason why I decided to become a substitute was I kind of looked at what I had done in college and kind of like what I had, left to do and how much time I had left to really fit in different activities and like extra development things to put on my resume. And I was like, wow, I have literally nothing that makes me stand out. So because I want to become a teacher, and I want to get a job as soon as I graduate, I weighed my pros and cons. I was like, maybe I should do subbing. So when I talked to a couple of actual full-time teachers, everyone I talked to was like, do not do it. Which you can imagine was really discouraging because I was like, I'm going to be a sub, I'm so excited. But every teacher I talked to was like, do not do it. And I never really listened to advice, so I just went ahead and did it. And I really don't think that you should let somebody discourage you from doing something, because although it's no glamorous job and the pay really isn't there, it's still good experience. So yeah, that's my little advice for you. So now that you can see like why you would want to become a sub and like why I became a sub, let's talk about how to become a substitute. So this really differs for every state and every county across the nation, across the world. I mean, every school has a different policy, but in the county that I live in, there is a temp agency that kind of reigns over the entire county and provides substitutes for each school every single day. And I know that there's a lot of similar temp agencies that kind of do that, but then again, there's also the types of subs who work for the school and the school calls them every day when they need a sub. So whatever route you decide to go or however your county works, just know that I went through a temp agency and that is how I became a substitute. So once I decided this is what I wanted to do, I kind of just like Googled like how to become a sub in like whatever county I live in, and I followed the policies through the temp agency. And a couple things that you needed to do is, number one, you needed to have your associate's degree or at least 2 years of college. And that can be a deterrent for some people because they might not have any college experience, or they might, almost have their AA. So I went through this temp agency, went through their training. Their training was so mundane and so long, and got hired on the spot pretty much. Then you have to complete a drug test, which you should be all passing because you want to be around kids. And you have to complete a background check, which also y'all should be all passing because you want to be around kids. After I officially was hired and became a substitute, I went on my first assignment and I had literally no idea what to expect. I mean, they tell you kind of like what you should be prepared for, but I really didn't know exactly how it was going to go. So here's just my advice and my experience with subbing and the experience that I've had thus far with doing it. You go in and pretty much there's always a substitute coordinator depending on like how big your county is and how big the school is. It might be the lady at the just front desk who deals with it. But they will give you a folder and it basically has like the sub plans. The sub plans might be on the teacher's desk, just kind of like an outline of like what the school looks like, and just policies that you need to follow. And my number one advice which is kind of common sense, is just make sure you're following the school's policy. If the school policy says that we do not take kids' cell phones away, even if you hate the fact that the students have their cell phones out, do not take the cell phone. Just follow the rules. Really, that's as simple as it can be when it comes to making sure that you're doing your job for the school. So in terms of the students, you can definitely expect the students to be very surprised, number one, very excited, number two, because everybody treats subs like it's a free day. It's just what it is. It's just how it happens. But you don't necessarily have to make it a free day. Number 3 is expect them not to work as hard as if the classroom teacher was there. Unfortunately, we live in a society where students aren't always super respectful, and they definitely treat substitutes like they're glorified babysitters. A student has actually told me when I was trying to get him to do his work that I was being paid to watch him and not to make sure he does his work. So definitely don't let the kids treat this day like a free day, because if an administrator walks in or if the students tell the teacher the next day that you were treating it like a free day, that just makes you look bad. Another piece of advice is don't drift off into casual conversations with the students. That is not your job. You're not getting paid to talk about your life. I've had so many students ask me how old I am, which I'll never tell them. The second question is, do I have a boyfriend or am I married? They don't need to know that. Number 3 is, am I still in college? None of that information is relevant to them, and it will help them get their work done. So don't engage in like personal conversations. It just leads to a slippery slope, and then the next thing you'll know, they'll be asking you if you go out and like clubbing and stuff like that. Another piece of advice that I have would be, don't necessarily be super stern with the students, but definitely don't treat it like, oh, we're gonna have a happy fun time, which kind of goes back to the free day. As soon as they walk in, make sure that you have the authority over the classroom, and I don't mean that to sound like an authoritarian teacher, because that's definitely not my teaching style, but subbing is just different than regular teaching. It just is. It's a good experience for getting your hands wet with like actually being engaged in students, seeing how long the school day is, but it's very different from actually teaching. And I can see a huge difference between my service learning experience and my subbing experience. And that's like the one big takeaway if you are an education major and you start subbing and you get discouraged. Just remember, it's different. Think about how when you were in high school or middle school and how you treated your substitute teachers, because although I feel like I was a very respectful student, I definitely didn't treat them with the same type of respect that I would my classroom teacher. Overall though, I think subbing's a really good experience, because if you can deal with subbing, you can probably deal with the way the kids treat you if you're a classroom teacher. And one last thing to keep in mind is the pay is not glamorous. I mean, I am a server as well, so I feel like maybe that has like something to do with it, but if you are somebody who is wanting to become a substitute just as like a temporary job in between jobs, just remember that it's not probably what you would expect it to be. And I know every county is very different with that, and then also your education. If you have your bachelor's degree, then it's more money. If you're a certified teacher, it's more money, but just in general, it's kind of like how being paid as a teacher is. It's just not there. So yeah, again, I really would encourage every education major to at least try being a substitute. It gives you some perspective, and for those of you who are switching over your career or your job, try subbing, because you never know if it leads you to wanting to be a teacher, which is, in my opinion, the best profession out there. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you got something out of this video, and I will see you soon. Bye!